Hey guys, this is Aisthesis. This is my second attempt at a tutorial style video for HUTs. Just talking about the map, some basic stuff, basic role. So here we've got a fairly interesting draft. We have a fairly strong team. Wookie's on Johanna, playing Warrior. Josh is on Uther, playing Support. Tam is on Kael'thas, playing DPS. Crispy's on Murky, playing Specialist, and I am on Raynor. So, we had kind of talked about who was going to last pick, and round out this, like what I was going to pick when it came out that I was in that drafting order. And we had some different choices, but we thought this was going to be a good one, basically for sustain. So, Battlefield of Eternity, like Haunted Mines, is a 2-lane map. There's very few camps. There's a side camp that's here, and then one over on this side, and then there's two, like, top and bottom. So, really not too much going on, except for the Immortal in the middle. So, it calls out, there's a timer, it's going to spawn. Your team's Immortal and the other team's Immortal start to fight, and you as a team have to choose whether you're going to not deal with the Immortal, which is a viable strategy on the first one. Defend your Immortal and hope to kind of get a team engage on your Immortal, prevent the other team from doing damage to it, or push down the other team's Immortal. Basically, if you divide up this into halves, the side that your team is on is safe. The side that your team is not on is safe. So like if the Immortal is down here and you're DPSing it, you want to try to stay to the left-hand side of this line. Because if you get to this side, and you're like a squishy assassin, and you're standing out here and dodging the circles that come up, then the other team can come in from here and just kind of surround you before the rest of your team has a chance to really do anything because they're a little bit out of range. So, in my last video I talked a little bit about warrior positioning. We had a double warrior comp, so I thought that was fairly good. And up here we're just doing stuff right now. We don't want to do anything serious before the first Immortal spawns. If you can get a kill, that's good. If you can't get a kill, you shouldn't be in a position where you suddenly have to back right before the Immortal. So, right now, the team that we're up against is very melee heavy. It's got an Illidan and a Butcher, both of which are melee assassins, and an Asmodan, who is very long range as a specialist, but he doesn't have as much hero damage as some of the other specialists. They've got a Lily as their healer, and they've got Arthas as their warrior. Right now, this was a really poor engage on their part. Lily was almost completely caught out of position there, and then they basically came in, and Johanna's really low, so she gets picked off. We somehow managed to survive, and that was just a poor engage on our part. So now they're left to basically just murder our Immortal, and the Immortal that we would have had to DPS down is fairly full. It's still really important, even if you know that you've lost, to do that, because the Immortal will gain shields equal to the other Immortal's health total. So it's nice to whittle that down. Having a full shielded, full health Immortal was really, really bad. So we're kind of regrouping here. We're going up. We have to defend, basically, and we're still trying to see what we can do. There are ways that we could turn this into a positive, but that was really bad positioning up here on both of our parts, and now we really have to be within the gate. It's okay for Murky to do his thing, because, like I said in the last match, he doesn't really, unless you kill his egg, he does not have a full respawn timer, and when you kill him, it doesn't count as a full experience kill. So, nicely, we were able to really catch back up, do some of the damage that we didn't do before, and I think that really kind of served us well in this engage. And then we caught Illidan completely out of position, which was a mistake on his part. So now we're responding to that by trying to push down this gate. because it's so early in the match, the respawn timers are quite low. They do rack up as the match goes on, you gain levels, so it's really important to not die at later levels because you'll be down for like an entire minute. But it's also important to not die at early levels because you give the other team experience every time that you die. So that is really not good, especially if you're behind already. That's part of the reason that you have to play it a lot safer if you don't think you can go toe-to-toe in a team fight, either because you're behind in level or because your comp just doesn't really work out very well. You have to wait for the enemy team in that case to kind of make a mistake, unless you're forced into something, and maybe if you're forced into it, you can make something good out of a bad situation, but a lot of the time you just end up getting team wiped or something awful. So here we're taking advantage of what we've got to get a couple of camps. They've gotten their camps, so we're basically even on things. We wanted to get those before the Immortals spawned, which we did, and now the Immortals are spawning, so we have to get together as a group and we have to prepare.
We are blessed by the light.
So, as a ranged DPS, your basic jobs are to not die and to position well enough that you can take advantage of things. Like your tank is trying to make your life easier. They're trying to set up things so that you can get people in your AoEs that they otherwise might walk out of. They're trying to help you out. I'm down here killing this because I saw what was happening up here, and my reaction was, well, they're not really our immortal, so if we can get that head start, then we can really get things going here. So right now they're basically trying to come in and engage, and if you see, Johanna is really on their side now, so we're in a really good position. We're all on this side, so now the Immortals clash because one of them got forced to have help, and they're going to do that thing where they randomly go. This position is really bad because our Immortal is on our side, which means that to DPS theirs now we have to go to their side. But we caught the Butcher kind of out of position. I'm not sure if we can actually get him here because Asmodee just body blocked for him, which was really pro. And so we just came up here and we said, okay, well, we can see if we can go toe-to-toe. We're one level ahead, so that's what we're doing. Wookie's kind of leading the charge. He's poking in. Fluffy as a melee support. It's good for him to kind of be on the front line too. Uther is really not a tank, but he is a little bit hardier than some of the squishy ranged assassins. And at this point, we're thinking about defending, we're thinking about regrouping a little bit since people were low on mana. We don't want to poke in without everybody. So we got Butcher, and we're kind of looping around, and we're trying to get other things so that we can get back to pushing down this Immortal. But even if all we can do is waste their time and keep them busy, they're not killing our Immortal, so the Immortals are hitting each other, and if left to their own devices, they would kill each other mutually, but since we already whittled our players down a lot, we're going to win the Immortal no matter what. So, there we are. We're coming to mid to kind of prep. It drops 2 globes, so if you need globes, you should pick them up, especially if you're in a spec that has a tier 1 globe talent. And we're kind of backing and getting ready for the push, just as our Immortal was preparing. So here we're in kind of a weird situation where we want to push with our Immortal, but they're all here. So I think we had some communication about what we were doing, and then we decided to kind of just all come in here and send Crispy to the top lane to counter push. So we're here. Our Immortal is already gone because stuff, but we got to keep out of it. And when you're playing against people, it's the little victories that really count. Sure, you can have some really dramatic victories, but if that's all you do here, that's a good day. Like, that's a good objective. Here we're trying to do a bit more. We're trying to get a Butcher, and now we're going to get some other things. So we're kind of just trying to stay safe, pull back when we need to. Lily poked her ult, which is a lot of burst healing, so we're kind of backing off because we don't want to just stand there and get hit while they're being healed and we can't kill them. So we're going to pull back. We're going to do some camps, which is why we pinged over here. And we're just going to let Murky waste Illidan's time, because if he's not attacking one of us or with his team, he's just, it's whatever. Murky's really good at being annoying, and he does need to be shut down because he can do a lot of damage if he's left alone, but his job is to draw the ire and the attention of the enemy team. So right now Illidan is hunting for Murky's egg. Again, if you kill Murky's egg and then you kill him, his respawn timer goes up, so he gets a real respawn timer, and now he's basically trapped in there. So now he has a full, right now, 30-second respawn. That was a mistake for Kalpas to book in there because they were all there, which is something that you can kind of guess at, but because we were ahead by a level, we still have a chance to kind of make this good. So they basically just focused me down here, and we were in a bad position. This was a poor engage on our part, especially as a ranged assassin. Like, you can check on the Great, but you should never really be caught kind of showing. And they saw him kind of walking in there, and then we engaged, but they already knew what was happening, so they came down from here and they came over here, and they basically flanked us, which meant that even though I was standing down here at the time, they were, like, I was in front of them all of a sudden instead of kind of back here. So that was just poor coordination on our part, really poor team engage. And now we're kind of talking over, I think, trying to figure out what we're going to do. And we've decided that we're going to poke in, try to defend. We're a level up on them, and at level 13 you get a talent, so they're going to get 13 very soon, but we're going to engage them first. So they basically both got caught in that, thanks to some teamwork. And even though they're, like, our Immortal is basically almost at half, and it's going to be hit down by Butcher. They're kind of split up now. They're sort of confused. Like, two of them are defending. If they had just pushed here, I think they probably would have gotten it, but so they got it to half, but we got theirs down pretty far. So now, as you can see, we're all positioning in the safe zone, and we're kind of looking to see what we should do, and we're basically just straight racing this. And again, they're divided, so Butcher's down here. He's helping his team by doing the objective, but his whole team is team fighting up here, and that's not a good decision on his part because he could have done some damage here, especially given what specialists they have. They don't have a lot of team damage that's not in the Butcher, so they really needed him, and we were basically able to really punish them for that here, and I think they might get somebody else, because, yeah, so they got two people there, but we were able to get the Immortal, so even though we kind of died trying to retreat, I think we did, that's an okay trade. Right now we're really up on them. We have a lot more kills than they do. We're down our healer and tank, so we're not going to get a great push out of the Immortal no matter what, but they still have to deal with the Immortal, so as you can see, they're all here trying to deal with it, and we're kind of stuck until our team comes back. We can't really go in on them too strongly. We can kind of poke at them a little bit, so that's basically what we're doing. So if you see us kind of walking forward and then walking back a lot, I promise there is a strategy to that. So my thought was that they were going to come try to do this camp, and our thought was that we would try to do it before them. Everybody's up now, people are coming in, and you can see Arthas over here checking on it for his team and not doing the thing that Kalthas did, which was kind of wander into us earlier. So we've got those mercs. They pulled back, they're kind of over here dealing with stuff, but we don't necessarily want to engage there. So while they're doing that, we're gonna get our camp, and we're gonna go just try to kind of do some things. We're on the same level right now. We're gonna get to 16 before they do, but we've lost our level advantage, so right now we really want to let them do whatever it is they're doing. Illidan is still hunting for Murky's egg, and we just want to keep up the pressure and not necessarily get involved in a really bad team engage. So here we're starting to come in and prepare for the Immortal, and we're basically just waiting. We don't really, like, we should probably kill these marks or pay some attention to them, which, yeah, I think is happening now. And we caught Illidan completely out of position. Like, he was way too far forward. So if you hear someone tell you you're overextended, that's basically what it means. You don't really want to be somewhere where, without you seeing it, the team that you're opposing can come in and basically stomp on you. And the further that you get towards the enemy's base, the more likely that chance is, because the Nexus is over here, so they can kind of back, and then they might even find you when they're just like running to something else. So here we're kind of thinking about things. We're going in for a team fight, and Siege prepping things, and Uther's in the front line, because again, he's a melee healer. We're sort of more towards the back. We're trying to chase a little bit, but we don't want to chase forever. So we're just going to pull back, because what we want is the Immortal. They've already pushed ours to basically half health. Illidan is still really not helping his team. They're kind of confused about what they're doing, so we're basically going to race them. We're going to say, well, we think our DPS is good enough to get this down, even though ours was already at half health. And now I think they're starting to realize that they really need to converge on that, but Asmodean is on the other side, so he either has to run through us or he has to run around, and running around is going to waste time. So we basically just DPS race them down, and they're really not coordinated right now. So that was basically not only a coordination check, but a really good series of plays on our part to exploit the fact that the team was kind of off doing stuff like this, which again is completely Murky's job. So as you can see, it counts for a quarter kill, and we have a lot more kills than they do. So again, Illidan too far forward. There goes the Shrink Ray. There goes my ult to kind of like mop him up if he tries to run, and that was basically it there. So we kind of know that they're all up here defending our Immortal, which they just did. So we know that we're kind of safe to poke in here, and I think at this point we're feeling a little bit more confident because we know that we can kill them. We're not really scared of the damage that they deal. They're down one of their main DPS, so we're really kind of poking in. So you'll see Kilpass and me kind of in the back, trying to do our stuff, trying to help out, but always making sure that we're retreating and kind of staying behind the warrior. I know it looks sometimes like people, like I know it can be hard to predict what people are going to do in terms of just the simple stutter stepping, like random movements that they do. Not so much like are we going all the way forward and pushing, or are we going all the way back, but just in predicting how far forward they're going to go, how far back they're going to go. And it's okay to kind of temporarily be on the wrong end of that, kind of like that, but you just don't want to be drastically out of position. And we're going to be able to kind of lay down on them. And as you see, that's Arthas, that's the warrior. So again, he was off doing God knows what while they got engaged on. And then that was basically their problem, because when you don't have a warrior or someone to absorb that front line, then that's not really good. So here we're kind of like, okay, I guess the Immortal Flaund, let's see if we can get this before that happens. We're in a really good position now. We have a good level advantage. They're down 4 people. They're going to respawn in time to kind of contest the Immortal, but we're going to get an advantage on them. So we got this, which means that's going to come in and pressure the last gate and keep the Hev up. and now we're going to get a head start here. So they are coming to defend the marks, which is going to take them time, and then they have to run all the way down here, and by that time, like, we're already going to be halfway down. So this is a really good match to kind of highlight because Kael'thas is very much an ability-based assassin. You'll see him kind of swinging, like this is his Phoenix ultimate, and then he has a gravity lapse stun and holy focus. Alright, so this was a really bad engage. I think we're basically all dead here. Raynor is an auto attack hero, which means that his basic attacks do most of his damage. There are some other builds that you can use for him. Like there's a build that buffs his Q, but I don't really use that. I like to take the Q slow and stun, but I don't necessarily take the double Q. Q is a skill shot, and it's really useful, but it's not really a DPS power, especially the way that I'm building him. One of the bad things about Q is that it knocks people back. So if your tank is in the middle of doing a stun combo and you knock someone out of it, which you can do, that's really annoying. Or like if you have melee DPS, it basically works the same way it works in Star Wars and other games. If you have a knockback, you should really think twice about using it, because if you use it and it screws up somebody else's life, like that's not really helpful. The only time that I'll use my Q specifically to damage or kill somebody is if I care more about getting them out of position, or if I know it's going to be the last hit, and if it lands, they're going to die. So there are a lot of cool things you can do with it, like if you're laning against somebody in the early game, or if you come up and you surprise them, you can knock them towards your gates, which makes them take tower damage, or you could just knock them a little bit further forward. One of the other things I like to do with it is knock them back. So like if a butcher is charging in on you, you can knock him back, and that kind of ruins his attacks because he has to be in melee range. So that sort of stuff is really helpful. But in general, it's not really something that you want to spam. So here, they kind of knew we were here. They came upon us, but we were retreating in good order. So they're attacking Kael'thas because he's a lot squishier of a target. He's an important target, but we were able to come down here and really make them pay for it. So we killed Butcher first because he's their assassin, and then Arthas was out there by himself. And then Lily had already started retreating, but we were able to clean her up too. And now Illidan is running away, Azmodan kind of running away. But because of the nice stun combo that we had here, plus the Shrink Ray, he's not going to be able to get away. So when your team is working, it's really great because you can do a ton of damage. You can really... everybody can do their job, and I don't think there's any one job that's more or less glorious than others. I think that every job is a little bit different, and sometimes the differences between them are really important, but in the end, it's really important for everybody. You just have to remember, like I said in my tutorial guide on the site, if you're doing a certain role and you're not in the right place at the right time, you're not really helping. Like if you're a healer and you're off kind of soloing a camp while your team is fighting, that means that whatever healing that you could do, they can't stick in the fight as long, which means they have to retreat maybe before they get something going. If you're a warrior and you're kind of off doing something, your team might engage without you, like we saw in the Arthas engage at the keep that they had earlier in this match. He probably could have at least saved them and let them retreat because their base was so close, but because he wasn't there, he couldn't do that. So here we have a fairly normal looking score screen. They killed us a lot less than we killed them, and Azmodan did a ton of damage. He actually did the most hero damage which, given that Illidan and Butcher are melee assassins, and they need to be in melee range to do their damage, really isn't that surprising. Asmodee can do things from range, and Arthas is on the front line, poking in because he's the warrior. But against our comp with two really strong assassins that play from a very long range, it was really hard for them to get anything started because we were the targets they wanted to go after, but Uther and Johanna were both kind of in the front, soaking up the damage that they did, or making it impossible for them to get at us, and that resulted in them dying a lot because not only did we focus them as the squishy targets, but they kind of came in on some bad situations where they shouldn't have, trying to get like a Kael'thas or something, and it also meant that they didn't do as much overall hero damage as they could do. And I think this is a fairly good comp. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it, but given the team that they drafted against, I think it would have been better for them to probably not play an Illidan and put a ranged assassin in this spot so that they have more sustained damage and a longer range. Like, I think a Jaina here would have been a really good comp. Usually in competitive play, you'll see one of the mages on one team, and you'll see Jaina on the other team, unless one of them is banned from play, which happens a lot. They're very good right now, they're very contested, and the way that Hero League draft works is basically, like, you get to pick things, but you pick things and you get to see what your opponent picks, so you take turns picking, basically, to boil it down to its essence, and once they saw what we had, they should have really thought about things, because that's basically what we did. We had our whole team, except for me, and I have a few roles I can play, I had a few things I could pick, but we kind of saw where their team was going, and we picked something that we knew would be strong against it, something that had really long range, had a knockback, which made things harder for the melee assassins, and that had enough damage to kind of counter whatever it is they were trying to do. And that worked out really well for us. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'm going to work on a few more of these, and hopefully I'll have them up soon.